I'm going to teach you the top 3 best builds in Echoes of Aincrad to maximize your damage and survivability for the early game and the end game. I'm going to also show you all items possible in the game, every single item drop. I'm going to cover all of them and why they are good or bad, because a lot of people just read the description of the mods and think that they work as intended when they absolutely do not. And this is for version 1.0.4 of the game, which just released. I'm going to go over partners' gear and skills, and I'm going to show you where to get the best items so that as long as you're not a completionist, you can just run through the maps and beat the objective and not waste hours snaking through the mazes and getting absolute garbage loot drops from all the chests the game offers. Alright, let's start with the best early game build. Now, for your stat dump, it's going to be all into dexterity, alright? And then once dexterity is 90, which is the maximum it can go to, you're going to pump vitality, alright? Now, for your gear, your weapon is going to be the bronze sword. You may be thinking, but what about other weapon types? Listen, other weapon types have a DPS loss. They do not stagger or down enemies as fast, even though technically you would think a mace or a two-handed axe would down faster. It does not. Alright, the game is not balanced around anything but the one-handed swords, okay? So, bronze sword is the reason we use this weapon is because on every jump attack, sprint attack, it does extra bonus damage. Now, this was nerfed by 50% in 1.03. However, it still out damages all other weapons in the game. And the way that you're going to be playing against most bosses is you're going to be circle strafing behind them while doing jump attacks, alright? And also, jump attacks in general build your partner's, your gauges faster. And so, not only are you maximizing damage, this is the only weapon that lets you one-shot mobs while you roam the open world with a sprint attack. A sprint light attack, not the heavy one. The heavy one is for beefier enemies or the upgraded mobs. And that one does trigger the, decapitation cutscene, which does eat up some of your time. But right now, on screen, I'm going to show you what this does. I'm against level 60 enemies here. And this is just a regular level 60 enemy, and then we just kill it in one hit. There we go. Now, the beefier ones, this is a beefier enemy. We have to do a heavy attack, which I did whiff there. But you're going to be one-shotting these guys all the way up until basically near the end of the game. Alright, and Lori's going to go take care of that troll for me. But, or Eori, my bad, not Lori. So here's what the mods you want on the early game. You want flat damage. Now, flat damage becomes worthless late game, but early game it is super powerful. So if you get a very high flat damage weapon, and you totally can, weapon mods are not level dependent. Also, I guess it's coming for me now, and I opened my menu. Whoopsie. Anyway, we'll just kill it real quick. Alright, so percent extra attack damage. Now, that sounds a little bit weird, but extra attack damage increases the damage of your jump attacks and your sprint attacks, both light and heavy. Percent damage reduction is going to keep you alive, but also it's going to stack with our other gear, which we're going to also stack percent damage reduction. And then flat HP or stamina, this lets you fight longer. If you're doing death game mode, you definitely want plus HP. If not, go for stamina. Next up, you want leather shirt. So what leather shirt does is, out of all of the early game armors, it gives you percent damage reduction as a mod. It does not tell you the percent, but it's pretty damn high. And if you are using a shield, it gives you even more percent damage reduction, to the point where when you combine this with the weapon mod, you take very little damage. So you can take so many hits, you don't have to heal as often. It is the absolute best armor all the way up until the very end of the game. It is. Trust me on this one, okay? Next up is the shield. You want the wood shield. What the wood shield does, and that's what I have right now here, is it just gives you less stamina drain when you guard, which you won't really be guarding all that much because you're going to be constantly jump strafing and doing jump attacks. Later around the second floor, I believe the second town, you unlock Heart and Soul by default just by getting that Cardinal rank, and that gives you percent damage reduction whenever you are below 50% HP, which stacks with leather shirt. It stacks with your percent damage reduction on your weapon. Now, for the partner, out of all the partners in the game, Iori is the highest DPS. Yes, she does more damage than Kirito, than Asuna. She is, the thing with her combo ability is that it allows you to hit multiple enemies in a very large AoE, which afterwards lets you use focus, and that gives you a 50% damage boost, which is more damage than Argo gives you. It's more damage than Stina, or, yeah, I think it's Stina gives you. I might have her name wrong, but essentially, she is the highest damage boosting partner in the game, the highest damaging AoE partner in the game. She also has a heal for you death gamers out there, alright? Now, for her weapon, early game, you can just use the annealed blade that the game forces you to upgrade through the story, but you want percent stamina consumption, percent SP consumption, damage taken, and stamina. What these mods do is it lets your partner fight without using switch mode for as long as possible, which maximizes their consistent DPS. Now, late game, you want to change this to the Mithril Blade. The Mithril Blade, it procs a freeze attack whenever you do regular attacks, and you want to stack this with status effect infliction percent, damage to enemies with status effect percent, sword skill damage, and minus damage taken. Now, the reason you use the Mithril Blade is because its proc, the proc on the weapon says that it lowers the cooldown of sword skills, which the amount it lowers it by is 80%. So if you have a 50-second long cooldown on a sword skill, and you proc freeze, and it procs freeze all the time when Iori's using it, that reduces the cooldown to 10 seconds. And the way the AI works is whenever their sword skills are off cooldown, they cast them. As long as they have SP to cast them, and because they're auto-attacking and proccing, they're going to be getting their SP back very quickly. And so this allows your partner to spam sword skills constantly throughout the fight. It is absolutely amazing for their damage over time. Alright, so all of the gear that I showed you so far, like bronze sword, you get this, you can craft this at the start of the game, leather shirt, gloves, wood shield, all this stuff you get by default, right? Now, the one thing you don't get by default is the dark leather pants. Now, you don't get to craft this until the second town, the town of Harunka. And this is a side quest that you get from an NPC called The Heifer Strikes Back. It's a very simple quest. If you've watched the anime, it is the quest Kirito talks about on the second episode, where the reward is 2 loaves of bread and some sour cream, which he feeds Asuna the night before the raid. And if you watch the Area of a Starless Night movie, she bites into it and she gets all bubbly because the food is so good. But it's that quest, you do that quest, this is the crafting reward that you get. And what this does, it says increases maximum stamina. Now, at the start of the game, it will give you plus 50 stamina, which is a 25% stamina increase. And what this does is it lets you continue attacking without having to take rest or switch out. And it also allows you to spam more dodges on death game mode, so it is the best in slot pants all the way up until the end of the game. Now, Heart and Soul is the shield that you unlock when you get to the 6th town on the 2nd floor by default, once you have the final cardinal rank of the game. And this, again, reduces damage taken when HP is 50% or lower. And by now, you will have maxed out your dexterity and start pumping vitality. This is why we pump vitality. And again, this gives you percent damage reduction. You're getting percent damage reduction from the sword and from the leather shirt. And the leather shirt is bonus. It has a bonus because you're using a shield. The thing is that the difference between using a shield and not using a shield is that you can't animation cancel as quickly without a shield. While you can dodge further without a shield, your dodge iframes, or invincibility frames, while dodging are the same with and without a shield. So you don't have to worry about that. And because you pumped dex all the way up, your invincibility roll window is very high anyway. Now, before I talk about in-game builds, I want to talk about all of the partners in the game. And so Iori, the thing is, her Twin Embrace, this says that it deals more damage the more HP your character has. This is false. It does not do that. It just does flat damage regardless. But when you are in-game, you will always be at full HP anyway. So if this ever does get patched, this will hopefully deal more damage than it currently does. I'm on 1.04. It's still not patched. Alright. But her sword skills are all about breaking enemy guard, which is really, really good. It's the most useful partner you can have for that. But also, again, her skills out DPS everyone else, which doesn't make sense. You would think storyline-wise Kirito would be the highest damage dealer in the game, but he's actually not, alright? It's just not programmed that way. Now, her healing circle is also very useful for death game mode, and there's other ways to heal in this game. There's actually 2 other healers. I'm going to talk about all the partners and things you can do with them, but the second highest damage is Argo, and you use Analyze, and what this does is that proc on your bronze sword when you do a jump or sprint attack, this gives you a proc on all attacks. So that means your jump attack and your sprint attack while using bronze sword will now proc twice. Alright, so it's pretty damn good for damage. However, Argo herself does not do a lot of damage in general. Her combination skill kind of sucks. She does charge up her skills very quickly though, and she's not very, as far as DPS goes, she's not a DPS monster like Iori is. But Iori's Twin Embrace, when you cast this when there is a boss mob and 2 adds or additional enemies, you hit the enemy so many times that you will be able to use Focus, which is a 50% flat damage increase, which will also increase your bronze sword procs. After that, we have Zash. Zash is you can't use Zash in a lot of missions. Also, I want to point out Iori is forced in some missions. You can only use her, and storyline-wise, she is the main character of the game. The story revolves around her. She is the main narrator. At the end, she is the one explaining the ending from her perspective. You are a side character. The player character is a side character. Alright, Iori is the main character of the story. If you don't have her in your main story missions, she gets replaced by text messages, and it's very lame. Alright, but Zash, his sword skills aren't that good. His abilities aren't that good either. And you lose HP by using your your combo skill, which you just don't want to do. In-game, HP doesn't matter because you'll be full health all the time. But, again, you get a barrier with his support skill. We're going to have ways to give ourselves barrier without a teammate. Now, Asuna has pretty damn good damage, and her AI is seemingly very bloodthirsty for some reason after the patch. I don't know why. But you can give her a legendary weapon that will proc a heal. However, it only procs once per fight. So if you're in an extended boss fight, you get 1 heal, and the heal is very minimal. And we don't need healing in-game anyway. And so she's just a DPS loss, alright? The weapon is Singularity. It's a legendary. You get it later. Alright, we have Edgil, and he has a taunt. However, this doesn't work. The taunt sometimes works on trash mobs, but it does not work on bosses. It just doesn't work, alright? And then his combo skill isn't as good as Iori. There's just no reason to use this character. He's got some okay AoE sword skills, but again, it's whatever. Kirito, it's fun to use him for the dialogue. I think he has the best partner dialogue in the game. And he does okay single target damage. But other than that, the quad slash is good, but he barely ever uses it. I don't know why he doesn't spam this thing, alright? You can give him a mithril blade and he will spam Sharp Nail, which is a 3-hitter, but he won't spam quad slash. I don't know what the deal is. Now, Klein is probably the 3rd best partner in the game, simply because he auto-casts an invincibility spell, and this is amazing for death game players. And his Riot Fangs is actually pretty good. He has good sword skills, which he uses often. Now, Stina, that's the person that I meant to talk about. She has Detect Weakness. If you want to build around doing % damage increase with status effects, Weakness is a status effect. The downside is you can never use her combo skill because it dispels the weakness. So if you give her something that causes fire, poison, or ice procs on her weapon, which is unfortunately maces, and then you combine it with weakness, and your character also uses a mithril blade. I'm going to talk about that build later. Then it's technically the highest DPS build in the game. Weakness gives you, at in-game, it's about 500 additional damage per attack. It's not a proc, it's just flat damage. However, it's, you know, when you stack all the % damage increases, you do have flat damage. Like, this is the most flat damage in the game you can do, but flat damage isn't everything. Alright, if you just want to be a DPS monster, this is the partner to use, alright? Then you have Lizbeth, and you may think Tempered Strike is pretty good, and it is, except for in-game bosses, because the way, or I'm sorry, Reinforcement. The reason it's not good for in-game bossing is you are buffed with flat damage increase until you receive 5 hits. Now, the way the description says it is the effect ends after a set number of attacks. It's a set number of attacks that you sustain, all right? Her combo skill is okay, but other than that, it's nothing to write home about, and her sword skills or whatever. Now, Muso has Whirlwind, which is a 4-hitter AoE, which is really good. It's one of the better ones in the game, and he uses it constantly, all right? Unfortunately, his weapon is 2-handed axes, which sucks. He also just gives you a barrier, which we don't need, and it's temporary, which we don't need. And then his combo skill is okay, but it's not better than Iori's at all. And then Silica is technically the best healer in the game with Gracious Gift, but this thing actually takes a very long time to charge up, all right? Even if you stack and make your entire build around charging partner skills, this still takes a while to charge up, and at in-game, you don't need healing. You do not need healing. Even if you have the right build, you will always have full HP and a barrier up, okay? And then her combo skill doesn't do a lot of damage at all. It just doesn't. Now, for sword skills, all right, you want gap closers. So Vertical Slash has an insanely low cooldown, and this is what you're going to do to proc your barrier. I'll talk about that later. You have Rage Spike, and this is your guard breaker for those annoying enemies, and it's a gap closer. You need gap closers for in-game because every boss does AoEs that knock you down and push you away. And this is basically your combat mobility. Now, early game, you're going to use Sharp Nail as DPS. This is a 3-hitter attack. But late game, you're just going to use Horizontal Quad Slash, which is a 4-hitter attack. Every other sword skill, like Rage Impact, is a semi-gap closer with a heavy hit and a big frontal cleave, but you don't really need this, and the cooldown is way higher than Vertical Slash, so there's just no point to use it at all. Yeah, so that's it for sword skills. Let's talk about in-game builds. Alright, now, before I show you the best in-game build, or before I tell you what it is, I'm going to show you what it can do. So this is the hardest enemy in the game here. I did not mean to open my menu. Whoops. No, stop it. I'm so used to MMORPG controls. I'm used to tab targeting. Anyway, so you can see I hit the enemy once, and look at my barrier. It's that white bar at the very top. And, yeah, you can see that the enemy is hitting me. I'm not getting flinched. It's kind of semi-super armor, but not really. Alright, we gotta wait on stamina. Look at the instant death. It didn't proc, okay? I'm basically immune to status elements. I have a massive barrier. I should be spamming my sword skills, but I've just been jump attacking to build meter, alright? And, yeah. So, we have a pretty low cooldown. See, instant death won't proc. I don't have to ever worry about anything on the ground, like burning ground or anything. And we got our partner's meter is built, and look at my barrier's still up, right? Barrier's still fine. Boop, now I have more barrier, right? Okay, there we go. So that's the first phase of the boss down, and not a problem. Now, whenever ads are summoned, I'll use Iori's special ability. We'll get focus. And so, yeah, we're just hitting the boss right now to build focus stacks, assuming we don't get hit here, which we did. Instant death won't proc. Again, we're taking almost no damage. I missed my sword skill. That's fine. We can just gap close, do this. Our barrier is almost down. You can see I haven't taken any health damage yet. I have not taken any actual HP damage. There's the enemies. Alright, and now we can... oh, the boss is immune right now, so I didn't really use this at the best time. Yeah, this boss has a mechanic where you have to break these little orbs. And look, there's a bunch of crap flying around the screen. It's whatever. I'm just going to smash the orbs. I will take a bit of HP damage here if I don't dodge roll it. But it's not a big deal because we have Iori to heal us if we want. We can just pop her heal right now. It doesn't matter. It's fine, right? And as soon as we have a mob to attack, which I think the boss might be ready. Is the boss ready here? Yes. So now I can pop barrier while I'm healing. And again, we're going to build meter with Iori. And I don't need to show you the whole fight. But essentially, I'm never going to die. There is nothing in the game that can kill me here. And yeah, I can just spam attacks. Right? And we can spam, you know, sword skills every time it's off cooldown, which I completely whiff that. Whatever, right? But again, just break the orbs. Not a big deal. We can just face tank everything the enemy adds. We can ignore. Because we can just make another barrier anytime. Look. Oh no, my barrier's low. Boink. Wait, it wasn't off cooldown yet. Alright, we'll dodge that. Why not? Okay, do we have our partner skill back up? No, but we do have another heal circle here we can pop. Again, we're never going to die. I don't have to use any items. I don't have to use any consumables. Nothing, right? Absolutely nothing. I got my full barrier back by hitting the ad there. And we got our, you know, quad slash here. There we go. Boss is down. Basically, that's, you know, again, we just repeat the fight. Nothing's going to kill me. Let me show you the build now. So I just have an insane amount of damage reduction in general. If I just stand here and let the boss just dump spells on me and walk onto these things, again, my HP barely goes down at all, right? And if I use that Sacred Shield when my HP is at 50%, it would be even more. Like, again, just nothing's going to kill me, right? Absolutely nothing. I can just stand on the boss here. I can have Iori heal me. I can pop items to heal, right? Again, I'm showing you the build without using any in-game items at all. This is like a nothing burger. Oh no, if I'm, you know, close to dying, I just hit the enemy one time with a sword skill and I get a huge barrier. It's that powerful. All right, let's go to the build now. All right, starting out with stats, let me go ahead and show you those. What you're gonna do is you're gonna pump Dex to 90 or to 80. I'm sorry, you're pumping it to 80. Okay, then you're gonna pump Vit to 90. Then you're gonna pump Intelligence to 90. So the reason we pump Intelligence is because we need status effect resistance %. That is the only thing. Also, the grind from level like 60 to 200, it's not that bad once you unlock the in-game content because you can force the enemies to be level 150. And then beyond 150, you just grind to the open world because of level scaling, and you will hit 200 within a few hours of grinding. Like, it's not a lot of grind. Level 60 to 200 is just like one sitting. It's not days worth, okay? Anyway, strength to 60. What this does is it just gives you attack and defense percentages. The down rate we don't use. We just don't use down rate. In-game bosses, you down them naturally as you attack them. It's whatever. You don't really build around it. And then we pump Dex to 100. How do we get Dex above 90? Because of our gear. And we do this for pure damage. Because the more flat damage we do, the bigger barriers we get. I'll talk about that in a bit. And then at the very end, at level 199 to 200, you're going to put 1 point into Endurance. The reason you do this is because if you put this 1 point anywhere else, it's useless. Like if we put it into Strength, I know you can't see my stats page. Like if we put 1 point into Strength, we get no bonus attack power. If we put it into Agility, we get no bonus attack power. We don't need SP because we constantly refresh our SP. So this is a dump stat. But it does give us a flat 5 stamina, which is nice. Alright, after that, we're going to talk about gear. The Dress Sword. The Dress Sword is the ultimate weapon in the game, though it's technically not even legendary. And let me show you what the Dress Sword does. Now, we want minus SP consumption, sword skill damage, damage reduction, and % status effect resistance. If you do not get at least 20% status effect resistance, you can still be insta-death, burned, paralyzed, etc. Alright? This wraps it up where you become status immune. Alright? Almost. You can still be fatigued, you can still be feared, you can still be blinded, which does nothing but obscure your screen a bit. And if you stand in fire for a very long time, you can catch on fire, but again, you're going to have barriers absorbing the damage, so it's not a big deal anyway. So what the Dress Sword does, it grants bonus damage based on attack when dealing damage with sword skills, which is what we're going to, our main source of damage is now sword skills. You spam them every time they're off cooldown, okay? But when you do a sword skill, it grants you a barrier for 30% of the bonus damage dealt. So we want as high of a bonus damage as possible, so we get our attack as high as possible, and so on and so forth. And that's how I'm getting those big, massive barriers, okay? So that is the weapon. That is what brings the whole build together. The weapon proc alone lets you absolutely just tank everything in the game and never worry about healing and never worry about dying. Once you can get this, and it starts dropping around the second floor, around the second town is when I started noticing it. You can farm these earlier from the golden gates. You get gold crystals, you go to a gold gate, the enemies will be level 60. They're a little tough at that point in the game because you'll be around level 40. But you can absolutely defeat them as long as you're min-maxing, and they will drop sometimes. Alright, after that, we go to Hero's Attire. This chest piece gives you bonus weapon XP, which you won't need at this point in the game, unless you just want to level all the weapons, which is what I did. But now, while you also have the Hero's Boots, it reduces damage taken, more so than the leather armor. It increases HP recovery from all sources and barrier durability, which means anytime you get a barrier, you get more barrier, all right? To get Hero's Attire and Hero's Boots, you have to beat the optional super boss, which is what I showed you earlier, that death thing with the multiple arms and weapons that we just fought. Once you beat that, and you could beat it as early as level 60 with the bronze sword build, all right? Once you beat that, boom, you got the armor and the boots, all right? After that, you want to get bell ringers. Out of all the gloves, and you don't have to use these. Gloves are actually very flexible in the build, but bell ringers is just the highest damage because it gives you, it increases your dex by 10, but it also gives you the ability for your sword skills to consume less SP, which is mandatory in this build, and lower cooldown times. It lowers your quad slash by about 8 seconds, all right? And you may be thinking, well, what about Pharmacist Gloves? Okay, Pharmacist Gloves lowers the cooldown whenever you deal damage with a normal attack, all right? The thing with Pharmacist Gloves, it takes 8 regular attacks to equal the Bell Ringers, and the Pharmacist Gloves, you can only proc it so many times before it, like, goes on a weird cooldown, and then it becomes useless. So, because bosses will constantly knock you on your ass, and you have to dance around the arena doing a bunch of bonus crap, you're not always able to just wail on the enemy constantly with regular attacks. And regular attack spamming, even with animation cancels, builds combo meter for your partner slower than jump attacks. And jump attacks forces the boss to rotate. It forces it, you jump over a lot of enemy attacks when you're jump attacking. So it's just better to be jump attacking constantly when you're not spamming sword skills. Bell Ringers just is the best. You also have just other gauntlets that don't really do much. The Bullet Gloves is not needed at all for combo skills. It doesn't even really work last time I tested it. There's the Sage's Arm Guards heals you over time whenever you deal damage, but it has a long cooldown unless you're taking constant damage. But we don't need to heal. We just don't need healing because we have so many barriers. So Bell Ringers, most damage, most utility, very, very good in general. So where do you get Bell Ringers? Okay, so to get Bell Ringers, you're going to be on the quest Diva 1. This forces you to use Iori. And you're going to start right here in the town. You're going to walk along the road. You're going to go up the curve, down this way, and right to that chest. This is the only chest in the whole game you have to ever open. You can skip every single chest in the entire game if you want. Now, if you want the Dress Sword recipe, it's also the Diva 1 quest line. Once you get this safe teleport, all you do is walk backwards and then down here, and I forget if it's like a stone wall or brambles to burn, but you blow that open, and that is the Dress Sword recipe. That's it. There's only 2 chests in the game you ever have to open. Everything else is garbage. Dude, I spent so much. I collected every single chest in the game, and it took so freaking long. It is such a slog, man. All right, next up, you want the Veil Shield, and you get this by default after the 3rd town on the final Cardinal rank, and this just restores SP when you guard, which we don't care about. We don't guard anymore in-game. We never hold the block button for any reason. Now, while SP is at 50% or higher, you deal more damage with sword skills. It's not a lot more damage. It's like a few hundred damage, but that also allows you to have more barrier. There's really no good shields in the game that do anything. If you want Heart and Soul, you can still use that, but your HP will never drop below 50%, but with Heart and Soul and everything else, your damage reduction is so damn high that like, everything tickles. Now, I want to talk about I'm going to talk about all the items in the game and what they do later in the video, but, like, for instance, this thing says it gives you temporary invincibility. It doesn't. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Also, the taunt on it doesn't work either, so this shield is borderline useless. Alright, so let's talk about this Sacred Tree Brooch. This is the endgame. If you haven't reached endgame yet, that little pendant you get from the story, which I know there's text in the way, the little pendant you get right here, it gives you stat bonuses. Yay! Right? And so you want the redstone. Now, I'm going to talk about the redstone. I don't know if this will get patched out, but if it does, you just swap the redstone for the bluestone, okay? So the redstone gives you a barrier at the start of your quest. Alright, so that means you start any mission you do with a barrier. However, the way this actually works is that if you have no barrier, over time, it will reapply this barrier. I don't think that's intentional, but if it is, whatever, okay? But another cool thing is that whenever you gain a barrier from another source, aka our dress sword, this barrier will reapply sometimes on top of that barrier, and whenever the dress sword barrier runs out or gets depleted, the redstone will reapply. So this is effectively a kind of sort of semi 30% heal constantly. This is why we never die. Alright, after that we go bluestone on the side. Now, the way that the tree brooch works is you have the middle socket, which gives you the bigger bonus. And then you have the corner sockets, which give you the lesser bonus. Okay, so for the bluestone and the brownstone, the bluestone gives us percent HP, stamina, SP. Who cares? The brownstone gives us more damage with sword skills. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Now for, again, best partner Iori with Mithril Sword with the same mods as the early mid-game. So nothing has changed there. And now to give you the highest damage or highest DPS in the entire game build. Now this build has almost no defenses whatsoever. So stats, you're going to go with 90 Vit, 2 Endurance, 1 Mind, 60 Strength, 90 Dex, 30 Agility, 100 Intelligence. Now the gear you're going to be using is the Mithril Blade. And again, this is the same thing that you would give Iori, but you're going to be the one proccing it. And you have it with status effect infliction percent, damage to enemies with status percent. And we're going to be triple dipping in this, alright? Percent damage taken and sword skill damage. So, I'm going to go over how this build works and, you know, even show you a little bit. But for armor, you're going to use the Soul Force robes. Now, the reason we use this is because without this, you are not status immune. This also gives us more damage because our weapon has intelligence scaling as a B rank. But Soul Force robes, without this, again, you can be auto death or instant death. You can be burned, paralyzed, etc. So you need this because we don't have the mod on our weapon to prevent it. We have to use it for the armor. All right. It also gives us a little bit of flat defense, whatever. Who cares? Bell ringers. Now, a lot of people want to argue with me about this choice. They want to say that you don't use bell ringers. You need to use silver alloy gauntlets to make status effects more susceptible. Except you don't. Without the less SP and the lower cooldown times that bell ringers gives you, you will still have like a 10-second wait when proccing your freeze on your blade to do your quad slash. And you don't want to do that. You just want a quad slash, regular attack, quad slash, regular attack, quad slash. Alright. Now, for your leggings, you're going to use the Dryadic leggings, and this restores stamina when SP is consumed. This lets you attack infinitely, assuming the boss isn't knocking you back or on your ass. Okay? Now, to get the Dryadic leggings, I'll show you where they're at. Now, when you're on the side quest Annihilation, right before the end, you're going to have this little save point, and then you just go right up the road, and then you go right here, or you go around and right there. I forget which route you take, but I think you need a blast stone or a firestone to get this chest. I forget. You're still going to be using the Veil Shield, so that you have more sword skill damage. Now for the brooch, whatever, you're going to put black stone in the center socket. This gives you 20% stack increase percent on afflicting status elements, and it gives you a 20% attack increase per status element, which is going to be stacked up to plus 60% damage, because they're going to be weakened, they're going to be dazed, they're going to be frozen, alright? Not all the time, and not all at once, usually, but, you know, it depends, you know, if everything works out. You're going to use brown and redstone on the sides. So brownstone is sword skill damage, and redstone is barrier. You still need that barrier. There is no other really good options. And without the barrier, you're going to just really suffer. Barrier is just so damn good late game. Now, for your partner, you're going to use Stina with the steel hammer. You're not going to use anything but the steel hammer. The steel hammer gives daze stacks, and it increases the support SP that she gains, so that you can spam weakness, alright? And you're going to do it with status infliction percent, damage to enemies with status, percent damage taken, and sword skill damage. And you are never, ever, on a boss, gonna cast Pierced Heart, because that removes Weakened. Now, if you have the support skill available to cast Detect Weakness, you can use her combo skill and then cast Detect Weakness immediately afterwards. But the cutscene that Pierced Heart gives, it's a DPS loss. There's no reason to ever cast it. Just let her do her thing and cast Detect Weakness, and just set her to go fight on her own. That's all you gotta do. Also, be aware that this build, Stina can't be used on certain missions. You'll see this partner cannot accompany you on this quest. So this build doesn't work for the entire game. This build is purely if you want to just pump out as much damage as possible to clip farm, or, you know, show your friends, oh, look at my damage, dude, or like for speedrunning or something. And you would never use this build on death game mode. Absolutely never. It is way too glass cannon-y, which means you die really easily with it. Also note that with this build, there are just some enemies, some bosses that are immune to status elements entirely, and so this build doesn't work at all on those. I mean, you still deal a lot of damage regardless, but you don't get your cooldowns back to just spam sword skills. Now, if you really want to max damage, you can also abuse items. We have Spark Talisman to inflict blind. This doesn't last very long, though, but it does give us that % damage increase. You can also use Sacred Bond Crystals to buff your teammate to be able to spam support abilities. You have the Spirit Crystal, which gives you 30% sword skill damage, and combined with Might Crystal for 30%, you know, just attack power in general. And then, of course, you have just a bunch of in-game heals, because this build is very squishy. You absolutely must carry as many heals as possible. Alright, so before a boss fight, what you're going to do is you're going to swap to the, not the pure one, but the Sacred Bond Crystal, pop that. And this is assuming you haven't, like, cleared any trash mobs, but what that'll do is give you 1 charge of Stina's support ability. We're then going to hotkey back the Sacred Might Crystal, there we go. And now when we enter the fight here, we can just pre-buff up and then blind the enemy. And I don't know if this thing's status immune, but we'll find out. So I'm going to go ahead and buff damage, buff sword skill damage, and then I'm going to blind it here, make sure I'm near it, there we go. And then Stina will use Weaken. It looks like it wasn't blinded. They would have an icon next to its name. We're going to pop our sword skills real quick. There we go, you can see massive damage. It's already almost dead, but this one has phases, it's fine. And then we're going to just hold block and animation cancel regular attack, assuming the enemy lets us. And once we freeze it, also a little bit of lag there. Yeah, this enemy is one that's going to run around and not really give us a lot of opportunities to regular attack, which is going to be problematic for building a freeze stack. So again, this doesn't work for all bosses, but we're going to sit here and regular attack it. Here, let's break a horn real quick. Okay. Unfortunately, my quad slash is back off cooldown, so again, we're we got some ads this time. Let's wait for quad slash. That's the cooldown that we care about the most. And now we just regular attack and get that freeze stack. Alright. Now, this thing is status immune, because it would have been frozen by now, so... damn it. I'm not going to show off damage on this one, I just want to show off the cooldown reduction mechanic of the build. So here we go, we have quad slash at 35 seconds on cooldown, and we're just going to sit here and regular attack it until it's frozen. And again, why do I have to pick a boss that knocks us away all the time? I'm out of stamina, oh boy. Alright, there we go, quad slash is back because we froze it. So you can see that the cooldown, it just gets eliminated, right? Alright, let's go ahead and freeze it again here, assuming we can, without it doing, you know, big fireballs of death here. Alright, yeah, every time this thing attacks us, it's gonna knock us back. So again, not a good boss to do this on, but oh jeez. This build, again, it's just kind of a meme build, but again, it's the highest damage build in the game. Once you get that freeze proc, you just get your cooldowns back, right? I didn't even want to hit them, I just want to blow the cooldown. Also, enemies, like right now, it still has the frost effect, now it's worn off. And if I can, you know, attack it here, without it going crazy and knocking me back... Did I get it? No, I did not. Alright. Still waiting on stamina. There we go. Alright. Yeah, let's just spam regular attacks. I don't know, man. It's... There we go, there's the proc. We got our cooldowns back, and so on. But that's the build. I know this is not the best example, but this video is not going to get a lot of views anyway, so I don't really care. But now what we're going to do is we'll talk about every single item in the game and why it's good and why it's bad. Alright, so I'm going to go over every weapon, every piece of gear in the entire game, and I'm going to tell you why it's good, why it's bad. We're going to rapid fire this, starting with one-handed swords, starting with the short sword. This gives you a bonus attack on the final hit of a combo. So after 4 slashes, you get 1 proc. There's no reason to ever use this over the bronze sword, which procs on every jump attack and sprint attack. Alright, bronze sword, best early weapon in the game. We already talked about this one. Steel sword increases slash damage. Slash damage in this game is not, oh, I slashed the enemy. No, it's whenever you do a parry slash, a dodge slash, or a preemptive counter slash, the E button or the use button or whatever the hell it is. It is not when you attack an enemy. It is only when you do the parries, which is almost, it's hardly ever in the game, and then late game you never ever do it. Next up is the annealed blade. This did get fixed from the earlier patch. If you're playing an unpatched version, this does not work. The first proc works, the rest doesn't. This increases your attack damage by about 5 at the start of the game at least. I believe it's percent based. Every stack up to 5. It's not bad, it's okay, but the bronze sword is just better. There's no reason to use this. Mithril blade is freeze stacks. Put this on Iori. Use this on a glass cannon build against very niche enemies. And there you go, we already talked about this weapon. The Dust Devil inflicts blindness. Blindness doesn't really do anything to the enemy. It debuffs them in a way that increases your damage when you have the stat modifiers, and that is all it does. The enemies will not magically miss you or roam around unable to target you. They will fight just like normal when they're blinded. It does nothing. Alright, the increased attack power is nothing also. Obsidian Saber. It increases attack whenever you land a sword skill, so you can proc this actually up to 3 times before you have things on cooldown. And so it says it stacks up to 5 times. You can't stack it 5 times because your sword skills are on cooldown. Also, the attack power increase sucks. Corundum Saber, alright, increases damage of combination skills. It's not that much. Combination skills when you and the partner do a, your big attack, your ultimate, so to speak, right? It increases attack temporarily by a tiny amount. Don't use this. Radiant Nebula. It grants a stack when you deal damage. At 20 stacks, you get a sword proc. So you can just use bronze sword and get constant sword procs. Alright, Dreadnought. Bonus attack damage on crush attacks. You almost never use crush attacks, unless you're trying to break a guard, which you should just use a sword skill to do. Because it instantly breaks it with a sword skill, whereas you need at least 2 crush attacks to break in-game blocks, alright? Again, the bonus attack damage sucks. Don't use this. Proto-Elucidator. Now, this is something you have to pay for, like real money, but for whatever, I don't know why. When I hit the 2nd floor, I got this anyway. I didn't pay for any DLCs. The game was gifted to me by a fan. He didn't buy the DLC. So I don't know if a dev saw my videos and just gave it to me, or if the game glitched out, or if you get this automatically on the 2nd floor. I'm not going to play through the game a 3rd time and figure that out. But yeah, every playthrough I've gotten this by the time I hit 2nd floor, and it deals bonus damage based on attack after activating a sword skill. So you get 3 procs. That's it. Use bronze sword. Regal Saber increases attack when the barrier is active. Alright? So if you do a sword skill, you get a temporary barrier. The barrier is okay. It's not the best. By the time you can start using this, you can just use dress sword. There's no reason to use this over dress sword. Snake Phantasm inflicts poison. Now, I have tried to make this build work. I have tried to make a poison build, and poison, while it does deal more damage than burning builds, it still does jack crap for damage. Alright, this increases sword skill damage, not by much, not by anything noticeable. Don't use this. Augur Gaze, whenever you increase the damage of combination skills, don't bother. It's not worth using. It's more powerful against elite and bosses. Not really. Maybe by like 50 or so. Stout Brand increases damage of sprint attacks. Hey, guess what? It increases damage of sprint attacks more. Bronze Sword. Also, all attacks already restore SP. Restoring more SP, useless. Holy Covenant increases attack according to current HP. I have given a character as much HP as possible. You know how much attack I got from it? 30. This is an in-game weapon. 30 attack power is nothing when you're in the 1200s to 1500s, okay? Increases healing received by 50%. This is actually pretty powerful. All right, but you don't need to heal it in-game if you're using barriers. It's kind of a pointless weapon. I wanted to make it work because I wanted to make it like a paladin build, but there was just no making it better than other weapons. Valiance, burn stacks, and it also heals you when enemies are burned. The heal is so small, even when you stack plus healing stuff, that it's barely noticeable. The burning is weaker than poison, so this is a really terrible weapon. Death's Salvation. Bonus damage on sword skills based on attack. That just means your sword skills hit a little bit harder with a proc. That's it. You just use Argo, and everything procs it. Use Bronze Sword. Alright, the lower the enemy's HP, you can also insta-kill regular and elites. Or you can just insta-kill them by hitting them once with an air attack. It is a completely dead mod. Dress Sword. We talked about this. It's the best weapon in the game. At the end game. Okay? Because of barriers. Harbinger. It grants stacks whenever you deal damage to enemies or when they're defeated. After reaching maximum stacks, the next sword skill consumes them, removing its cooldown or refunding its SP cost. You don't need this. It just lets you do a sword skill for free. Whoop-de-doo. Sword skills don't cost a lot of SP. That's the beauty of using swords. Oku Vilg Andy. Now, you get this through the story the first time. At the end game, this also drops from mobs, so you can get multiples of these, which means that the quest line that the protagonists get is meaningless because everyone can get these if they grind. But this just lowers SP for sword skills after you land a parry slash. It increases the damage that sword skills inflict. It's not enough to bother with. And then it's only the first sword skill. So you parry once, you use a sword skill, you get like 50 damage. This sucks. This is so dumb that the game hypes this as the legendary super weapon so much. But it sucks. It is worthless, dude. Alright, now for the pointy swords, which I'm not going to say the name of because YouTube might think I'm saying the struggle snuggle word. Alright. Singularity. It stacks marks. Whenever you get 3 marks, it basically casts an Iori circle that's stronger than Iori's circle. And it restores HP and SP. This is actually really good. However, the game doesn't tell you this. This only procs 1 time per fight. So if you're in a boss fight, you're going to proc this immediately, which you don't need immediately because you'll be full health. And then it doesn't work the rest of the fight. It's cool to put on Asuna and then she randomly procs it. And that's it. Like, it's a dead weapon, okay? Chivalric, well, you know the word. This is actually the weapon Asuna uses in Skazero of Deep Whatever Night, the movie. So I don't know why she's still using this on floor 5. It beats me, dude. She's an idiot. But, reduces stamina consumption and increases attack whenever stamina is consumed. It can stack 20 times, so you never really worry about stamina. And the attack power it's okay, but it's not really enough to really notice a huge difference. Vanishing Point. You damage an enemy twice, you put marks on them. When they have 5 marks, you deal a blinding explosion, causing blindness. So this is a guaranteed way to blind enemies if you want to do like a % damage increase build, but for the pointy swords, you don't need to do that because regular swords already beat it on damage. Lost Time. Inflicts multiple instances of bonus damage when enemies are damaged with sword skills. The bonus damage is increased based on base damage dealt by the sword skill. So this just gives your sword skills a damage proc, which is okay, but there's better weapons, okay? Aerial Stinger. Bonus damage to sword skills based on attack. It inflicts freeze stacks, which is neat because it inflicts freeze stacks with sword skills, which most weapons do not do. You have to do normal attacks. Restores SP when enemies are frozen. You don't need the SP restore. Alright, Honor Blossom. Grants stacks when enemies are damaged or after you've moved a while. This is... There's technically a build out there where you do a lot of running away and then you hit them once. It's like a coward build, but the damage buffs you can get throughout the whole game aren't worth ever running this. So yeah, it just inflicts sleep stacks, which enemies wake up immediately when you attack them, which is pointless. Oh, I slept an ad. Time to fight the boss. Oh, I slept the boss. Oops, my partner hit it. Now it's awake again. Sleep is pointless. Increases damage of counter sword skills. It doesn't increase the damage that much. Counter sword skills are a waste of a sword skill slot, in my opinion. Restores HP when countering. So what? It's not that much. Rapid Heat. Inflicts burn stacks when you damage enemies and increases the attack damage when nearby enemies are burned. Okay, you get 30 attack power. Whoop-de-doo. Noble. Stabby sword. Grants bonus damage based on attack to the next attack if enemies are not damaged for a set duration. Yeah, it's like 5 seconds. If you run away for 5 seconds, you get bonus damage. Use Bronze Sword, you always get bonus damage. Selenite Epi. I don't know how to say is it EP or Epi? But grants bonus damage based on attack to the final hit of normal attack combos, which is not something you'll be using. You should just animation cancel for more damage. Corundum Foil. Reduces the cooldown time and SP cost of sword skills, but also reduces their damage. Why would you want to reduce your damage? This is a pure DPS loss. If you want to like have a dummy run where you play naked with the worst weapon ever, use this weapon, I guess. Proto-Elucidator R. Restores HP on damage dealt when attacking. It's okay. It's not the greatest, but it's okay if you just want to like face tank everything, I suppose. Vivicator. Increases attack temporarily when HP is restored. So anytime you get healed, dealing damage restores HP proportional to the damage dealt. This is just better than the Elucidator weapon. Alright, though it's not much better. Even though it sounds like it would be better, it's not really. Thrust Heart. Inflicts blindness when damaging enemies. And it takes so long to stack this one up for some reason. I don't know why. I think they messed up the values when they were programming this one. The attacks deal bonus damage that scales with attack to blinded enemies. So, when the enemy is blinded, you do get bonus procs. So, this is kind of like a Bronze Sword, but you would have to just spam the blind talismans, and then you could proc it. You're better off just using Bronze Sword, bro. Valkyrie's Saber. Grants bonus damage that scales with attack to the final hit of normal attack combos, and grants a barrier. So, it's better than that other weapon, but the barrier is very weak, and you aren't really doing a barrier build with stabby swords anyway. Piercing Epi. It grants bonus damage that scales with attack to slash attacks, which is your parry. Ugh. And it restores health, so on. Annealed Foil. Increases sprint speed by a non-noticeable amount. Sprint attacks deal bonus damage. Sprint attacks with the stabby swords suck anyway. Grim Foil. Increases damage temporarily after a successful counter or parry. You mean after a slash? You can tell different devs worked on different weapons. Alright, Wind Fluoret. This is the weapon Asuna used on floor 1 that was gifted by Mito, I believe, or what, I don't remember. Increases invincibility window when dodging. By the way, it's 2 frames. 2 frames is all you get at 60 FPS. Dodging causes attacks to deal bonus damage, so you dodge, you get 1 bonus proc. Just use Bronze Sword. Steel Stabby Swords. Grants bonus damage based on attack when damaging is dealt 3 times in a set duration, and restores stamina. The restoring of stamina is actually amazingly good. If you have to use a stabby sword, this is your ride or die until the end of the game. Bronze Stabby Sword. Bonus damage based on attack to the next attack after activating a sword skill. Pointless. Oh boy, you can proc it 3 times and then everything is on cooldown. Don't bother. Now for Daggers. Ghost Hunger. Increases attack, sprint speed, normal attack speed when a nearby enemy, player, or partner has 50% or less HP. So by the time you're halfway killing something, this procs. The attack is not much. The sprint speed is not noticeable. The normal attack speed is also not noticeable unless you have an attack speed build. And if you are running an attack speed build, you're losing DPS anyway. Light of the Forest. Inflicts sleep stacks, and then it makes the sleep explosion whenever... And it also heals. The heal is non-noticeable. You can put this on Argo, and you might see a heal once an hour. Like, that's it. If you use it for yourself, the heal is negligible. The Faceless. Blindness. Alright, and then it, increases damage with sprint attack. Reduces sword skill, SP, consumed on trigger, so what? Vanguard. Increases attack, but disappears when you're near enemies. Uh-oh. So, like, when you go in to attack them, you lose the buff. I have never seen this work. Because, hey, it's... unless you, like, have, like, a ranged sword skill, like, daggers can be thrown. So maybe this is for throwing dagger builds, that you just stay at range and throw daggers the whole time. That's my only guess. But enemies charge at you, they teleport at you, they run at you, adds will run up behind you. This weapon sucks. Mournflower. Reduces cooldown of throwing sword skills. You're better off using this for a throwing build. When you deal damage in bonus damage based on the enemy's HP. So this does not deal more damage if they are healthier. It deals more damage if they're weaker, but it's very low. Increases attack. Okay, Cosmic Orbit. Increases attack proportional to agility. So the most you can get from this is technically 100 with gear, but that gear sucks. And if agility is 50 or higher, normal attacks deal bonus damage based on attack. So your normal attacks will now proc. This is your main dagger that you would use for normal attack speed based builds, which also suck, whatever. Obsidian Stiletto. Inflicts freeze when damaging enemies with attacks. Increases normal attack speed temporarily when enemies are frozen. The attack speed increase sucks. Hand Stitello, whatever. Increases damage dealt to enemies, but increases damage taken. Why would you ever want to take more damage? The increased damage that you deal is non-noticeable. Swift End. Increases attack temporarily when a perfect dodge is performed. This doesn't go off very often. You don't really perfect dodge that much, even if you're spam dodging. It just doesn't happen. Alright, Proto-Elucidator D. Grants a party a buff that increases attack speed and the effect stacks. Except the proc has a cooldown, so it doesn't stack, and if you put this on Argo, you don't notice the attack speed buff. It's a useless weapon. Anathema. Increases the speed of normal attacks when they are used. This effect stacks into maximum stacks. Normal attacks deal bonus damage based on agility, so you deal 90 bonus damage. Onyx Edge. Increases attack when damage is dealt with attacks. The effect stacks, but taking damage removes the accumulated stacks. You know how often you're going to be taking damage? All the time. Useless. Corundum Dagger. Increases attack and normal attack speed when sprinting. So yeah, for a set duration, you know what that set duration is? It's 5 seconds. It's not bad. It's okay. Mithril Dagger. Reduces stamina consumption and sprinting. Sprint attacks deal bonus damage. Okay, so you get a sprint proc. So what? So does Bronze Sword. Assassin Knife. Poison stacks when damaging enemies. Grants bonus damage against poison enemies that scale within. So you deal at most 90 to 100 damage. Ambusher. Burn stacks. Burning enemies heals you. Proportional to the damage dealt by burn, by the way, which is not as much as poison, so you get a little tickle of a heal. That's it. That's all you get. Iron Tooth. Increases speed of normal attacks, but you can't guard. Well, that sucks. That means you can't animation cancel. Very bad weapon. Annealed Dagger. Grants bonus damage based on attack to final hit of normal attack combos. Reduces stamina consumption. Oh boy, 1 proc after 4 hits. Steel Knife. Inflicts bonus damage that scales with agility. Okay. It's still to enemies 3 times in a set duration. So this is just agility proc damage up to 90 every 3 hits. Whoop-de-doo. Sleek Knife. Increases sprint speed after activating a sword skill. Okay, so if you're using a sword skill, it's usually a gap closer, unless you're playing a range build. It's just a pointless knife. It's just not worth doing. Alright, so this weapon is actually bugged. You're supposed to get this in the story, but it does not give it to you. I found a screenshot of it, so I can't tell you how good this is, because I have never actually been able to acquire one. But this is the only weapon in the game that gives you paralyzing, right? So, it says that it, after 10 attacks, it does a damage proc based on attack. We can assume that's like the Bronze Sword. But I don't know how good paralyzing is on enemies because I've never been able to use this. Maybe they'll patch it where this will... Like, you're supposed to get this in the story, but it just doesn't show up in your inventory, ever, for anybody. I've checked. But it is in the game files, and someone did get a screenshot of it. I don't know if this is fake. I don't know if this is AI generated. So this could be completely wrong info here. I have no idea. This is just what my research is showing me. One-handed Mace's next is Mortal's Bane. Increases damage of sword skills and grants them bonus damage based on attack, but it consumes support and combo SP. If you're DPS maxing, you don't want to drain either of those, ever. This is a terrible weapon. Canary Tamer. Daze stacks. Increases damage on dazed or downed enemies and restores SP on hit. The bonus damage is alright. It's pretty good. And it actually double dips if they are dazed and downed. Not a bad weapon. Alright, not bad. Force Axe. Increases attack when you gain a barrier. And doing a support skill gives you a barrier. Now, there are partners where you can spam support spells over and over and over because they charge so fast. And so you can use this to basically keep a barrier up. If you want to use a one-handed axe, this one would be pretty good. Brazen Edge. Bonus damage on attack whenever damage is dealt increases down rate. The down rate is non-noticeable, and the cooldown time is reset when enemy is downed. Alright, but, like, it's whatever. The bonus attack is not much. Bold Axe. Grants stacks when damage is dealt to or taken from enemies. Because you'll be constantly hit at in-game by enemies, it does give you a lot of stacks. It increases attack and defense whenever you reach max stacks. And the attack you get is non-noticeable. The defense doesn't really matter in-game. Corundrum Club. Increases the damage of the next attack and makes it more likely to down the enemy after not attacking or taking damage for a set duration. You're going to be constantly attacking and taking damage. This is useless. Black Silver Axe. Barrier. And bonus damage after performing 2 sword skills. So yeah, axes actually have a lot longer cooldown than other sword skills. So this kind of sucks. And you have to use 2 of them back to back without being knocked on your ass or knocked back. Also, axes don't have a lot of gap closers either, so yeah, good luck. Agony Bludgeon. Alright, it grants bonus damage based on attack to jump attack, sprint, and crush attacks. So this is the bronze sword of maces. It's alright, because it also adds crush attacks, but just use bronze sword. Like, you get this way later. There's no reason, like, to start, like, when you're at in-game, you give up bronze sword. I don't know. I just don't see the point. This should have been, on a starter weapon. Sturdy Buster. Blindness when damaging enemies and attacks grants higher chance of downing blinded enemies. I haven't noticed the difference between blinded and non-blinded on downing. I tried to make a down build with this, and it didn't work. Like, it was still the same rate of heavy attacks versus if they are blinded or not. So I don't think this technically works. Proto-Elucidator Ilm. Bonus damage based on attack to jump, sprint, and crush attacks. So yeah, if you are a pay pig and you bought into the game with the bonus deluxe whatever edition, which you're funding the failure of gaming, because if you paid money for this game, you are helping destroy the gaming industry. Okay, this game should not be worth $70 freaking dollars. Anyway, this is bronze sword. There you go. Striking Mace. Increases sword skill damage after a successful parry. Oh boy, useless! Fortune Mallet. So this randomly heals you, heals SP, support SP, combo SP. I tried to make a combo SP build around this, and, like, the proc, like, it's a chance to proc. And it doesn't proc very often. It's the ultimate gambler weapon. I guess if you are doing, like, a tool-assisted speedrun, this would be the weapon to use. And then you just go back in time a few frames until it procs every time. I don't freaking know, dude. Mithril Rod increases the speed of normal attacks whenever they are used to inflict damage. When are normal attacks not used to inflict damage? Oh, when the enemy boss has a boss mechanic where you deal 0 damage? Huh? What? Anyway, the speed of normal attacks is non-noticeable. Big Bopper. I like the name. Big Bopper. It's like Big Papa Pickles. Grants bonus heavy attack damage based on attack to increase down rate. I don't really notice it. Annealed Rod. Grants support SP and combo SP when damage is dealt with a sword skill. This is alright, because normally sword skills do not grant combo SP or support SP, so this is neat. This is pretty cool. I like using this one, okay? Steel Hatchet. Bonus damage based on attack to heavy attacks and inflicts daze stacks. The daze stacks are okay, but you have to spam heavies. Iron Hatchet reduces SP support gains. This is a nerf. This is a negative trait for like 20 extra attack power early game. Don't use this. Steel Hammer. Daze stacks when damaging enemies. Restores support and combo SP when nearby enemies are dazed. If this is really technically as stupid as it sounds, because it has good strength and intelligence scaling, this is actually best in slot for maces. And this is what you would give Stina also. Restoring the SP when enemies are dazed is just really nice. It's a good chunk. It's a free chunk. Wild Edge reduces maximum stamina. Why would you use this? This is percent based. This sucks. Bronze Rod increases attack when enemies are downed. Late game, you don't down enemies. Early game, you rarely down enemies. By the time you down them, they're going to die anyway, regardless of how much attack you have. So it's useless. It's pointless. Alright, I know the left says two-handed swords, but we're still on maces. Don't worry about it, okay? Sigrun. This gets stolen from you in the story, but mobs drop it. This increases the amount of support SP gained, increases attack after activating a support skill. The attack is like plus 30. It's not really all that good. And the steel version, you know, that we talked about as the best in slot for maces, increases the amount of support SP gained even more. So this is a dead, pointless weapon. It's cool looking, but that's all it's got. Two-handed swords are absolutely terrible. They have really bad sword skills, but screw it, I'm going to tell you about them anyway. Lost Oblivion causes explosions which deal damage that scales with attack. So what this does is this makes your heavy attack do a bronze sword proc. That's all it does. It does make an explosion graphic. However, I have never been able to burn an enemy with this, ever. I have never seen this inflict burn, because even if you're animation canceling and min-maxing your speed of jump heavies, the way affliction stacks work is when you hit an enemy, you know, it builds up a meter on there, and like kind of how they do it to you. When you're about to be burned, you see a meter that builds up. So you hit them with a jumping heavy attack. They get that burn meter, it goes down. You hit them with the jump attack, it goes back up. You're never going to build it high enough to actually burn them with this, all right? So yeah, it's a cool weapon, but it sucks. The Arbitrator decreases sword skill cooldown and SP consumption. Dealing damage with a sword skill 5 times within a set duration deals bonus damage based on attack. So there's a few multi-hit, you know, two-handed attacks. So you get like 2 to 3 procs at most out of this. That's it. And the decrease of cooldown is about 8 seconds. That's all you get. And yes, it stacks with other things. So you can kind of make a build around this, though it's not ideal. Dark Adaptation increases attack temporarily when dealing damage with a sword skill by like 30 or so. Additionally, dealing damage with sword skills reduces the effect's cooldown time. This is just straight up better than the Arbitrator. It's just better in all regards, because the cooldown time is better. It's more. It's like 12 to 20 seconds depending on the ability. Pretty good weapon. Taurus Blade increases attack by consuming SP, and the increased proportional to the amount of SP consumed. So what this essentially does, you get SP when you regular attack things. And so you just get less SP back, and the increased attack is like 10. It sucks. Sightless Blade increases blindness stacks when damaging enemies with sword skills. Sword skills deal bonus damage to blinded foes. I tried to make a build around this. It didn't do any good. But it is Dex Int based, so it's just a good stat heavy sword for Zash, but that's about it. Terrorizer consumes SP to grant bonus damage and inflict freeze stacks when dealing damage to jump, sprint, and crush attacks. This is what I ended up using on a two-handed sword run, just because you do so many jump attacks, and jump attacking with a two-handed sword is the fastest animation cancel for jump attacks. I just wish there was a bronze sword equivalent for two-handed swords with jump attacks, because that would be really good. But this is the best thing you can use for two-handed swords. It's best in slot. Use Terrorizer, all right? All right, Steel S-Talk increases sword skill damage, but increases their cooldown time. It's by like 10 seconds or so. Don't ever use this. The damage is not worth the increase. It's like a couple hundred extra damage. Abyss Bringer burn stacks when you hit them with attacks. Restores SP when they are burned. You don't notice the SP restoration. Banisher increases attack as HP falls. When HP is below a certain amount, hitting enemies with a sword skill grants a barrier. So this is supposed to be with like a Zash build, where you go berserk with him and you deal increased damage. I tried to make this work, and the damage is not noticeable. The barrier is all right. The barrier is actually pretty good and will save you. But you wouldn't use this on a death run. You wouldn't use this over a regular one-handed sword build. It's a dead weapon to me. Proto Elucidator TS increases damage on the next sword skill after 3 uses. So yeah, you do 3 sword skills, and then it procs. And then everything's on cooldown, and then the proc goes away, and you can't use this. You do not ever see the damage increase on this. And Nema Bringer increases sword skill damage when at 50% SP or higher. This is a good amount. This is about 300 damage. It's not bad. Elven Geistblade restores HP by an amount proportional to the damage dealt to an enemy. This is really good for earlier game. Just jump attacks. You just sit there and you just deal jump attacks and you heal. It's great. It's awesome. Obsidian Claymore greatly increases the damage of the next sword skill when one is used twice over a set duration. I couldn't notice the damage. I don't know if this even works. Mithril Saber grants bonus attack damage based on attack and inflicts freeze when activating a sword skill. So it's okay, but I've never actually been able. I can spam all the multi-hit sword skills. I've never seen it freeze anyone, so I don't even know if this works. Destruction Blade increases sword skill damage and SP consumption when using a sword skill. This effect stacks up to 5 times. No, it doesn't. It stacks up to 3 times, and that's it. Even on, like, when you cast a multi-hit spell, I have not tried this on the recent patch, so I could be wrong here, but in 1.03, If you use a 4-hit sword skill, it procced once. That's all you get, 1 proc. Alright, broadsword. Increases speed and damage of normal attacks temporarily after dealing damage with them. It stacks 10 times. Even at full stacks, I don't notice the speed increase, because just doing regular attacks on 2-handed swords sucks. Never do normal attacks on 2-handed sword. Corundum Claymore. Increases attack after activating a slash attack. Why are you using slash attacks? Just do jump attacks. There's parry slash, dodge slash, woo woo woo. Decapitator. Increases sword skill damage after a successful parry. Again, don't worry about parry slop, okay? Annealed longsword. Alright, I know it's not annealed, it's anneal, whatever. Reduces the cooldown of sword skills when it's used to damage an enemy. It's an alright amount. It's like about 8 seconds. It's pretty good for early game weapons. Bastard Sword. Increases the damage of the next attack temporarily after dealing damage with the crush attack. Crush attacks with 2-handed weapons are actually pretty good. However, increasing the damage, it's by about 30 or so. It's not much. Great Sword. Bonus damage based on attack to the final hit of normal attack combos. When are you ever normal attack comboing with 2-handed sword? Never. Alright? You almost always weave in the heavy attacks. That's what you do with the Great Sword. Normal, 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 heavy, heavy. Alright? Anyway, that's the swords. 2-handed axes and maces. We have the Titan Sledgehammer. Restores stamina to full when enemies are downed or defeated nearby. It increases the stamina consumption of attacks. So what this does, it drains your stamina, and then you don't have stamina to ever down an enemy. That's what it really does, dude. And it has terrible stat scaling. Don't ever use this. Transgressor. Increases attack. Over time, the effect stacks when you reach max stacks. It increases damage dealt. And then all the stacks are lost when landing an attack. So you get 1 proc off of this. It's about for 50. And that's it. Ogmog. Increases attack as stamina falls, but increases the stamina consumption of attacks. This gives you about 50 extra damage. It still sucks, though. Crushing Cascade. Grants stacks when dealing damage with attacks or nearby enemies are downed. After reaching maximum stacks, the next instance of damage dealt consumes all stacks for a damage boost. It's about 50 damage. That's it. That's all you get. Rustic Hammer. Creates a force wave when jump heavy attacks are used. This deals damage and also inflicts daze. So this is what you would use for a down build. Because it procs extra damage, it procs daze, which is a status abnormality, which allows you to deal more damage. And so there's actually a viable build around this, but it's just not higher damage than the Mithril Blade build. Also, not all enemies can be dazed, and not all enemies can be downed, so there you go. But it's still best in slot right here. Also, it has amazing stat scaling when you upgrade it. I know it says B for strength, C for int, but it's like S for strength, I believe B or A for int. It's really good. It's a really good weapon. All right, Grand Sledgehammer. Increases the speed of normal attacks. No, it doesn't, because I've never noticed it. Grants bonus damage based on attack to the final hit of normal attack combos. Don't use normal attack combos with 2-handed weapons. Land Tomahawk. Grants bonus damage to sprint attacks, and 1 stack per enemy hit by sprint. Increases attack temporarily based on number of stacks, up to a maximum of 10. You can stack this up to 10, and you get like 50 damage out of it, and it also procs sprint attacks. So if you're running around the open world, you can use this, but it's late game, so it's kind of late for that. Whatever. Makana marks lone enemies in the area and increases the damage dealt to them. You know how much damage you get from this? 30. That's it. Iron Scythe. This is Mito's weapon in the anime. I believe she has this by floor 5. I don't know why she's using this on floor 5. I could be wrong, but it's Mito's weapon. It even looks like it from the anime. Whatever. It's what she uses, if you care about the anime. Grants bonus damage that scales with attack when dealing damage with a sprint attack, and temporarily increases sprint speed. The sprint speed is actually noticeable on this. It does make you run faster. And if you watch the anime, that's what she does. She does sprint attacks. Everything in the anime is sprint attacks with her. Alright, Corundum Axe. Increases down rate of crush attacks and charge sword skills. And here's the thing, if you're charging your sword skill, you're at a DPS loss. It's cool, but it's a DPS loss. Grants them bonus damage based on strength. So you get 90 bonus damage. The down rate I have not noticed. I don't think the down rate works. Executor. Increases attack according to HP. You know how much attack you get from this? 30. That's it. Scrape Sickle. It restores SP when defeating an enemy or an enemy is down nearby, but increases SP consumption of sword skills. This is not... the benefit's not worth the gain. You don't really need to worry about SP restoration ever. And like when an enemy is downed, whoop-de-doo, who cares? Proto-Elucidator TA increases the down rate of crush attacks and grants them bonus damage based on strength. So you deal 90 extra damage to crush attacks. And the down rate, I haven't noticed a difference. Quake Maker. Attack based on maximum stamina if you have over 50% stamina. The attack is about 30 bonus damage. It's not bad, but you kind of burn through stamina pretty quick with two-handers. Battle-wise Sledgehammer. Grants bonus damage and inflicts daze when you deal damage with heavy attacks. And you're going to be heavy attacking a lot. And the fact that it gives daze stacks is really nice. Remember, daze is not downed. They are different things. Noxious Malice. Increases slash damage. Slash damage is when you parry or dodge, okay? Or that one thing where you preemptively attack them, whatever, which almost never happens. You increase your down rate. I haven't noticed the down rate increase. Final Judgment. You can actually get this at the very start, after the prologue. Grants bonus damage based on attack when dealing damage with crush attacks and inflicts daze stacks. So this is your early game two-handed weapon that you would want to use. And the down rate is one less heavy attack. It actually works. It's one of the only weapons I've seen where the down rate actually works. All right, and the bonus damage is just like a bronze sword proc. So yeah, but spamming crush attacks is not always that easy. Taurus Axe grants a greater resistance to fear. Dude, there's like 1 or 2 enemies in the game that fear you. It's useless. Annealed Sledgehammer reduces normal attack speed. I haven't noticed the reduction in attack speed. So this is just more base damage at the start of the game. Bronze Axe increases the down rate of normal attacks and grants bonus damage based on strength to the final hit of normal attack combos. You're not doing normal attack combos, and the down rate of normal attacks... I'm going to be real. I tried to figure out how many less normal attacks it takes to down an enemy, and I just got impatient after 30 minutes of finagling with it. I don't know if this even works, but I ran out of patience. Maybe you can do your own testing. I'm sorry, but I didn't notice a difference. Steel Axe increases damage dealt to downed enemies. You know, it's about 100 damage. It's not bad but you can already finish off downed enemies anyways. I don't know, man. All right, let's go over armor. You have the Soul Force Robe, increases int. If it's 30 or higher, you get status resistance. It's about 20%. If it's 60 or higher, you can increase your defense. It's about 20. It's not bad. It's all right. Elder Pulse Vestments. It gives you a barrier, and it nullifies just one thing of damage after dodging damage. You have to do a perfect dodge, by the way, for a set duration. The barrier doesn't last very long. It's like 10 seconds, and it's not a big barrier either. No real reason to use this. Soaring Coat restores HP when an enemy is defeated nearby. If you want to go kill a bunch of trash mobs, you can heal off of them, but you could just go to a rest area and do the same thing, or just, you don't need healing late game. Hunter's Shirt reduces susceptibility to status effects. No, it doesn't. This is a kind of a mid-game armor. You put this on, you're still going to get burned, you're still going to get paralyzed. You don't have the intelligence to really stack this early game. Tanned Leather Mail increases maximum HP. It's a plus 50. It's all right. I mean, you shouldn't use anything but leather armor until the end game anyway. Dream Gale increases normal attack speed. No, it doesn't. And it reduces stamina consumption but increases damage taken. I don't know how much more damage taken this increases it by. Maybe a smidgen on the health bar. But, like, I don't notice the attack speed increase. Constantin Plate increases the amount of barrier gauge gained. You know what also does this? The Hero's Armor, and it's better. You could use this before you get Hero's Armor, but you're better off with damage reduction, because this doesn't increase the barrier as much as Hero's Armor. Alright. Mist Seeker. It has a chance to reduce damage by 80%. So I tried this for about 10 minutes, and I couldn't get it to work. So I don't know if it's only certain attacks that can proc it, or if certain bosses or enemies nullify or bypass this. Even at below 50% HP, I didn't notice this. So, again, I don't know if I don't know how this works, but I think what it's trying to do is it reduces the damage by 80% before factoring in your raw flat defense. But, like, then the defense kicks in, so it's like negates like 1 damage instead of 80%. I don't know. I don't think this works. Flurry Coat. Gradually restores HP during combat. It's very slow, even with plus healing, but it is something. You might want to use it for Death Run. Plate of Revival. Greatly increases defense after taking damage from enemy attack. This effect is temporary. So this works for 5 seconds, and then it doesn't work for a while. I think it's like 30 seconds. Maybe not. Maybe 15. I don't remember, but it sucks. And the increasing defense doesn't do much because it's a flat 20 defense anyway, which sucks. Saint's Armor. You can get this pretty early in the game. Restores a portion of damage taken over time. Restoration is increased when HP is below a set percentage. The set percentage is below 50%, by the way. And the amount it restores, the portion of damage is like 1/5. So essentially, this is 20% damage reduction, but not exactly. It's a little tricky. It's all right. It's pretty good. You could use this if you want over leather armor. If you aren't using a shield, use this over leather armor. 13 Ordeals. Restores HP over time. When it falls below set amount, the below set amount is 50. The effect can only activate once per quest. That is a lie. It can activate as much as you want. So ignore that last line. I think that's bugged and that might be patched. Earthly Jacket. Increases defense when you're near elites or bosses. It's not noticeable. Reduces damage taken from them. Just use leather armor. You get reduced damage taken from everything. And it's the same amount. Guardian Jacket. Reduces invincibility window of dodging. Okay? So I want you to notice the wording on this, because this is actually bad. Reduces the invincibility window. Not increases, reduces. But lucky for us, it's only about 2 frames. I mean, 2 frames is a lot for roll slop games, but you get 30 armor, which is useless, so Guardian Jacket sucks. It kind of looks like Kingdom Hearts armor. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Soldier Mail. Increases HP recovery from healing crystals. This is actually by plus 100. Using a healing crystal increases defense. This is a plus 10. Leather Shirt. The best armor until the end of the game. Use this. Constantly use Leather Shirt. Don't use anything else. Alright, pretty simple. Sage's Arm Guards. This heals you for an okay chunk. It actually heals you a lot more with that sword that increases healing by 50%. But it's not a build. It's not a build you should ever really use. Now, this has a long cooldown, but if you constantly take damage, the damage amount doesn't matter. It's the damage, the amount of hits you take. So if you take 100 hits in a second, this thing will always be off cooldown, right? But if you take one big hit, it still reduces it the same amount as one small hit. That's what I'm trying to say. It's an okay glove. However, it's more defensive than offensive. I would say out of being like super defensive, this is best in slot, but you don't need it. You don't need to heal it in-game. Newman Protectors. Increases attack. It scales with SP. I tried an SP scaling build where I got as much SP as possible, and you know how much damage I got from this? 30. 30 attack, which is useless. Armor. Metal Bashers. I almost read it as armor defense. Increases the damage of heavy attacks and makes enemies easier to down. Alright, this increases your damage by a couple hundred, actually. And it reduces the amount of heavy attacks to down an enemy by 2. This is pretty good for down builds. Sleek Gloves. Reduces SP required to activate sword skills. This stacks with other things, and it's not bad, but you're never really... You don't have a problem with SP. I don't see the point of these gloves. Long Gloves. Reduces stamina consumption of attacks. This is alright early game. It's not bad. Pharmacist Gloves. Reduces the cooldown of all active sword skills whenever damage is dealt with a normal attack. You have to do normal attack. Not heavy attack, not jump attack, not sprint attack, not sword skill attack. Normal attack. Not all enemies let you do normal attacks. But the thing is that you need to do this 8 times. You need 8 normal attacks to equate the rate of the bell ringers, for one. But after, like, 15 attacks, it stops working. Like, it stops proccing. It just stops proccing and for a while. And then it like, goes on a cooldown or something. And then it starts working again later. I don't understand why. Heavy Gauntlets. Increases strength if strength is 30. This increases strength by 10, by the way. If strength is 30 or higher, increases down rate of attacks. This actually reduces your amount of down rate by 1. Yeah, 1 whole heavy attack. It's pretty good. And it also increases attack. And the attack increase is nice. It's not as good as Bell Ringer's increase in attack. But for strength weapons, it's pretty good. It's pretty good if you want to use a strength weapon in a down build. Bell Ringers increases dex by 10. If dex is 30 or higher, sword skills consume less SP. They consume significantly less SP. This is really good for that. And it has lower cooldown times. The cooldown time on a 50-second skill is like 8 to 10 seconds. It's pretty good. It's like 20%. If dex is 60 or higher, increases attack. So for dex weapons, which is what you will be mostly using if you're using one-handed swords, this is your best in slot glove, bar none. Alright. Bullet Gloves increases the amount of combo SP gained and damage of combination skills. So the damage increase is negligible. The increase of combo SP, I did not notice. I tried to make a build around this, didn't work. Silver Alloy Gloves. Enemies become more susceptible to status effects. So this actually doesn't mean that you can proc status more often. What this means is that when you do a status element on the enemy, it's slightly more effective. Now, I tested this side by side with poison damage, and it's about 20% more poison damage, which is also nothing. Like, 20% of nothing is nothing, okay? So if you poison an enemy, you barely notice the damage, which is still more than burning. But with this on, you slightly notice more poison damage, but it's not enough to make a build around. It just sucks. Amulet Gloves increases attack when nearby enemies are inflicted with status effects. The increase in attack is about 30. It's useless. Daring Arm Guards increases damage of crush attacks and charged sword skills. This is about 50 more damage. Rage Fang Gauntlets increases the damage of sword skills, but increases the SP consumption. This increases damage by about 300 or so, but it almost nearly doubles the SP rate. So, ooh boy, it makes things expensive. Night Steel Gauntlets increases normal attack speed temporarily when HP is recovered. I have not noticed the attack speed increase. Iron Bangles increases damage of slash attacks, which is parries, parry, dodge, etc., whatever, or dodge slash. It makes them easier to activate. It makes them easier to activate by 20%. So early game, this is pretty good if you want to block and dodge spam. That's the benefit of this item, is not the damage, but the window that it gives you. Bandage Guards increases normal attack speed. I have not noticed this. All right, it just doesn't work, or the attack speed increase is so small, you don't really see it. Boots and pants, boots and pants. All right, we got Metal Knight Boots. This grants attacks based on distance traveled. This is one of those weird run away and then slap somebody builds. I don't really understand the point. And it deals bonus damage, so it procs like a bronze sword does once after you run away for 5 seconds. Alright, Gale Leggings increases maximum SP. If it's 300 or higher, you also increase your defense. The defense increase is 10. Alright, Power Greaves increases the stamina consumption of dodging. Why would you want to increase the stamina consumption of dodging? I don't know. Oh, it gives you early game defense, which sucks and is pointless. Idaten Greaves increases sprint speed and reduces stamina consumption. This actually increases your speed by about 20%. If you want to make a run around build, that's cool. But you know what I do to run faster? I use Cheat Engine. So, nah. Leather Cloth Anklets increases the amount of support SP. Support SP is whenever you build a support gauge. I didn't really notice the difference, so I don't know how good this is. Maybe it's like a 5 or a 10%. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's not noticeable. Night Stalkers creates a smoke cloud and inflicts blindness after executing a perfect dodge. So this doesn't blind. This blind stacks. So if you have a blind build, I don't know, but it's a cool item, but it's useless. It's like a little smoke bomb. Dryadic Leggings restores stamina when SP is consumed. Not bad. Pretty good for glass cannon build. Calming Belt. Hey, I said this was the boots and pants category, and the picture is pants. But it's a belt? What? Restores stamina fully when it falls below a set level. The below set level is 30%. And it does not restore stamina fully. It restores 200 stamina. Yeah. Someone coded this wrong. Whoops. Shadowless Pants turns dodges into a teleport. So it's basically a blink talisman all the time, but you can't cast it while you're jumping. If you could cast it while jumping, that would be so good. But it also spins SP, and the SP is a pretty good chunk. So you can't spam dodge forever. Chrome Greaves increases defense during and after a sprinting. The defense increase is 10. Journey Pants. Increases defense and status effects resistance temporarily after dodging. The increase is 10 for both. Airy Fairy Gas Skins. Increases the damage of jump attacks. It increases the base damage, not damage procs, and it's... I don't know, it's like 50 to 100 depending on how much base damage you're already doing. I think this is a percent increase. I don't know the exact percent. You shouldn't use this for jump attack builds. It's just not worth it. Dark Leather Pants increases maximum stamina. It increases it by 50. However, if you have a lot of stamina, it does increase it by more. Though, this is supposed to be patched. It could be wrong on 1.04. In 1.03 and below, it was percent based, starting at 50. 50 base out of 200, so 20%, I believe. Again, it's supposed to be flat 50, but it was coded as percent based. Adventurer's Boots increases the damage of sprint attacks. This is the same thing as the Airy Fairy, but for sprint attacks. You already one-shot mobs anyway up to end-game. There's no reason to increase your sprint attack damage more. I don't know. Ranger Boots increases agility. Increases it by 5. It's okay for damage, but there's just better. Bronze Boots increases invincibility window when dodging and increases the damage of dodge slashes. The invincibility window is by 20%. This is pretty good early game. 20% is, it's about 2 frames. You know, it's pretty nice. Pretty good. For shields, we have the Og's Hatred. Attracts the attention of nearby enemies when you guard. Also grants invincibility. I have not ever been able to get this to work. I think this doesn't work. Alright. Current patch, last patch, it didn't work. Veil Shield. It restores SP when you guard, which is whatever. But while it's at 50% or higher, it deals more damage, and the damage is pretty noticeable, about 300 or so, 300 to 500 depending on the sword skill, which with the barrier build is very good. Heart and Soul reduces damage when below 50%. This is a good chunk of damage reduction. It's like 15 to 20%. I don't know exactly. It's very noticeable, and this is what you want to use until you have a barrier build. Scrape Shield. This increases your attack by a flat amount. I believe it is 20. Yeah, it's 20. But it increases damage taken, so you take percent increased damage. So this is not a good trade-off for 20 attack. Even early game, don't use this. Gordian Shield increases defense, but increases stamina consumption when dodging. Don't use this. The defense is like 10. Oh boy, 10 defense. Dark Xerxes deals damage based on defense to the attacking enemy upon a successful guard. So this takes your total defense and only applies that when you block an attack. So that means you hit enemies. This is an in-game shield, by the way. You don't get this till the end of the game. This means that, like, right now, if I use this shield, I would be dealing 96 damage when I block an attack. Who cares? 96 damage is nothing when you regular slash for 1,400, okay? Saint's Mirror inflicts daze on the enemy for each guard. I have never, ever dazed an enemy by blocking with this. Maybe it does build daze stacks, but unless you're running a daze build with a one-handed hammer, like, I don't understand this shield. There's just better shields. Whatever. Foresight Shield restores HP on parry. It's a good chunk. It's percent based. It's like 20% or so. But the amount of times you parry an enemy is, I don't know. There's a lot of mods to make a parry build, but a lot of enemies and bosses, you just can't parry them, no matter what you do. Round Shield, it increases the damage of parry slashes by an okay amount, it's like 100 or so. It increases defense after one is used. The defense is 20. Alright, and there you go. There's other shields as well. The Wooden Shield reduces stamina consumption of guarding, which is really nice. And if you have to do a lot of blocking on fast-hitting enemies, very, very good for early game. Alright, so I'm showing you the level 10 variety of stones here. And so we have the blue stone. It just gives you HP, SP, stamina increase by 1%, 20% as a main slot, 10% as off slot. Green stone, attack and defense. This is a flat amount, 30 attack and 30 attack, 30 defense, or 15. This sucks. This is the worst stone. All right, you have brown stone, increases sword skill damage by 30 or 15. You have orange stone, increases the normal attack speed. The attack speed is barely noticeable as a main slot. Barely noticeable. You get, if you attack, like, I'm gonna tell you right now, with 30% increased attack speed, you're not getting 1 extra attack every 4 swings. You're getting 1 extra attack every 20 swings, okay? Because if you already attack fast, making it faster doesn't, like, double it or anything. I don't know. It's just, I have not been able to make an attack speed build work. And I've seen streamers try an attack speed build, and it sucks. They all suck, okay? So don't use this. Redstone is a barrier, 30% or 50%. This is probably the best stone in the damn game, and is what you should constantly use in every build. Alright. Purple stone increases the damage. If you run away for a while, 5 seconds, you get a 40% damage increase on 1 attack, and then you lose it. Or 20% on off slot. Pink stone, alright? The slash window, that's your parry window, your dodge window, all of that stuff, okay? 40% is not bad, it's about 4 frames. And if you make a parry build, what are you going to do on the boss? Stand there and wait for them to do a regular attack on you? No, most in-game bosses are blowing up the arena constantly. It's pointless. White stone increases the down rate. Now, this increases it by 30%, which is, through testing, it's hard to determine, but it seemed to, like, maybe, sometimes, not always, reduce the down rate by 1 heavy attack. And the damage increase of 80% only procs 1 time. You get an 80% bonus damage, so you better make it count, right? And after that, you have to down the enemy again to get that 80% back. Yellowstone increases sprint speed by 20%. I've tried to make a sprint speed build. I barely noticed the run speed. It is noticeable when you compare it with no sprint speed and a lot of sprint speed. But if you're on PC, just run a cheat and just run faster if you care about sprint speed. And then the dodge rate window is 20%, which is not bad. That's, 2 frames. Blackstone is the status element stacks is 20%, which is 1 out of every 5 attacks. So it does save you 1 swing out of 5 swings, but the amount of swings it takes to proc a status element differs between enemies and the status element itself. The easiest being to proc is blind, and the hardest being to proc in the game files is paralyze. But I have not tested this, so I don't know if that's even coded correctly. But other than that, it is freezing, which is what we use the Mithril Blade for. But, yeah, it's still mandatory for the Mithril Blade build or status builds in general. Like, there's no reason to use this over something else. Now, it does increase the attack damage as well, and that stacks per element. So that means blind, daze, weaken, freeze. If you want to use flame mines and poison mines and all that crap, yeah, you can stack up more elements, but they don't last very long on the enemy. The enemy kind of shrugs it off very quickly, especially at higher levels, and because the game has level scaling, once you hit level 200, the enemies they're not status elemented very long, and you're better off with a barrier build anyway. Some people are going to be like, stones? You mean like the stones that you throw, like Frost Stone and Firestone? Listen, using X stones with a maximum int-based build deals about 1,000 damage, so it deals about a regular attack on a sword swing. There is no reason to run an int build and use these consumables ever. If you're wondering why all these are 500, it's because I cheated. Yes, that's right. Alright, and that pretty much wraps up the video. I just want to point out that I have found a way to get past the invisible barrier here where the ads are. So you can actually go and fight alongside the anime protagonist here. Where's Kirito? Come on, where are you at, Kirito? There he is. What are you doing, bro? You AFK, hello? And look, Asuna's still got her little robe on and stuff, and she's just over here dealing with some ads. But yeah, can we actually hurt Ilfang? No, the game will not let us hurt him. So we can't interfere with the canon events of the game. But we can get closer and watch and observe what happens. It's pretty interesting. Look at him go. Oh boy. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, let me know. I'll definitely make more. But this game doesn't have a lot of players because of how expensive it is. And oh no, what's going on with the party man? They're just kind of sliding on the floor. Oh man, what is that? Look at this. This is so funny. Oh, I just got grabbed or something. They were hitting me through the barrier. Look at that. But fun times. Anyway, let me know what you want to see next, and I would like to put out a review. The review will not be nice. All right, but and yes, they're level 200 because I'm level 200. Thanks, level scaling. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you thought about the video. Let me know if you have a favorite build, if you enjoy these builds. There's not a lot of build variety in this game, unfortunately, and I'm not gonna buy the DLC or cover the DLC because these videos didn't get 100k views. It's whatever. Anyway, Legends, that's all I've got, and again, I like the anime, I just don't like the game. I think the game was a disservice was done here. And, you know, for how long it took for them to make, and it's AAA studio, they could have done way better. Like, the boss room doesn't even look like it does the anime. It's supposed to be lit up and bright. There's supposed to be a design on the you know, main floor in the middle here. It's just a disservice. Also, I love how they don't progress Ilfing until you kill the ads. So you are forced to kill ads for the main party here to actually do anything, which is really funny. But, oh look, there's stuff you can loot over here. Or what if I just open the door during the fight? Hey guys, I'm going to the second floor. See ya. What the heck? Yeah, we're just leaving. Like Kirito hand. What? Hey, I beat the level, guys. I did. Speedrun tech. Anyway, click the video on the right side of the screen. If you don't, the next time Olive Garden has a pasta pass and you want one, you're not gonna get it.